Hey everyone, welcome to the Big Fitness Show, episode 024. My name is Stevie Richards. I'm still Smedium. I'm not Big Stevie Cole just yet. So we are offering a little bit of a bait and switch here, but we do have Big Mike Behrens. He's truly 6, 10, 11. He's a Nephilim.
No.
He's a Nephilim. Giant
Yeah.
among us. 7 feet tall, 275 pounds, Big Mike Behrens.
I make up the big part of it. So I'm carrying the weight of the Big Fitness Show right now by holding up my end of the big portion. So
I told you how you can lose weight in 2 weeks, 35 pounds in 2 weeks.
Yes, the
I don't
spine
recommend
infection.
it, but there is a way.
I've been contemplating it because I want to lose some weight a little bit. I want to lean out just a little bit, but that's a little too much for me. I mean, I could stand to lose maybe 5 to 10 pounds, but 35 is a little much. I don't think I want to go that far. So maybe just a small infection or something.
This was considered to be small. It didn't feel small to me.
Sure.
It's amazing that because I recovered and where we talked about it, I worked out before the infection and helped kind of fight off everything and help me heal a little bit quicker. People thought it was work. And I'm like,
yeah.
Meaning if people don't know what wrestling is, meaning it was fake, it was make pretend to further a storyline to, what was I trying to do? I'm not even an active wrestler. I must be an idiot. I'm trying to book an angle when I'm not even in the business anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. It didn't make any sense to me. I mean, I don't know. Trying to get booked out of it. Big comeback story. Everybody loves a comeback story, I guess. So maybe that's what you were going for.
But I gotta want to come back. I gotta want I want to come back to being alive and working out, but the ring's a little bit in front of a story. And then the topic of this episode is, the importance of doing hard things, which to me, it's almost impossible to have a comeback if I don't want to have a comeback. So that must be the hardest thing to do.
That's the hard thing. Yeah, you got to do the hard things that you don't want to do, I guess.
So the Jedi, wait, now it's a reverse, it's almost like Seinfeld doing the exact opposite. So by not wanting to come back, it actually means, this is so 2023, by not wanting to come back, you're actually 10 times more willing to come back. It's just crazy enough to make sense.
Yeah, that's kind of the logic that we have in today's world. So yeah, makes total sense.
Okay, I'm just checking.
So your comeback is scheduled for a couple months from now, and then you'll be a year out from the infection, and that'll be your big 1-year anniversary of the infection. You'll just bring your
so some people can get heat on me like that.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, I want to show you some. You see this calculator with this 1 0?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you add about 4, 5, or 6 zeros onto that, 6 preferably, the comeback will commence.
But if it's all zeros, then it ain't gonna be nothing. So you need a 1 in front of it.
Well, there has to. Well, I'd prefer to be like a 9 in front of it. That would be good.
Oh.
And I'm not talking about a yearly deal. I'm talking about one match.
So, 900,000 for one match.
No, 9 million. I'm sorry. 9 million figures. No, there has to be some kind of Saudi prince who is a huge ECW fan who wants me to come over, work a 5-minute match, and come back, and I'm good. And
I think that's great.
Waiting for me outside.
I love it. You heard it here first, folks. He's coming back. $9 million.
That's all people got. Stevie Richards getting $9 million payoff in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. That would be a hard thing to get done. So we could definitely segue into the conversation of today by talking about hard things. That would definitely be a hard thing to get done for sure.
The hardest thing would probably be the flight over and back. That would be mine.
Yeah, that's fair. Sit that long. Yeah.
I was very interested by this topic. We always kind of go through topics and add stuff. We have a list of them. It's probably going to last us almost to the end of the year. All very interesting to us, hopefully interesting to people listening and watching out there. But this one struck me because it's so vague in a way, but it's so prevalent in people's lives. Because more than ever, with instant on demand, with things being so easy, even shopping for groceries, you don't have to leave the house. You don't have to do anything to get your chores done throughout the day. So the importance of doing hard things, I think, is more of a lost art than ever in 2023.
Totally. I agree with you. And I think when I was writing the the topic down and just thinking to myself, I read a book a while ago about doing hard things, and it's one of those things that people don't realize how important that is. And I think that the whole impetus of the conversation for me comes from of you need to challenge yourself every single day. You need to challenge yourself in some way to overcome those challenges, to be more resilient, to be tougher, to go through hard things. You know, you look back at your life and some of the hardest things you've ever been through are what's made you who you are, you know. And I think people have lost this idea because of the world that we live in. There's so many conveniences. There's so many things that just aren't hard. It's not hard. Like what's silly, you know, little things like our cell phones, our mobile devices have turned into making life so convenient and so easy that there's just no real daily challenges that come up for most people. And a lot of times we find ways to make life even more comfortable and easier, you know, and that's what we're all striving for. And I'm not against making life easy, you know, I'm not against that at all, but I think it's made a lot of us a little softer because we don't do hard things anymore, you know.
Well, there's kind of a contradictory existence with people that make things that shouldn't be difficult way too complicated and difficult on themselves.
Yeah,
And
that's
they
fair.
have no energy in my viewpoint. They have no energy for the fulfilling hard things. Like, let's just talk about doing this thing. This thing took me months to wrap my head around. And we just talked before we started the show that I'm finally kind of getting a grasp of everything after months of test runs, bad takes. And even when I launched the channel, a little rough in the beginning, but I just wanted to get it out there because it's the only way through feedback, whether constructive or negative and toxic, that I'm going to know what direction I'm going in is right,
Sure.
wrong, or I'm just treading water. So by doing the hard things and then putting yourself out there as the hard thing is not accomplished, you're going to get even more results from that. It's going to hurt a little bit, but in
Yeah.
the end, you're going to, how many people, I mean, I did, and you've done it. How many people out there, and maybe we'll put a poll up on Spotify, how many people out there after the hard night or the hard week or the hard era, you might have a whole year of your life that's completely just difficult and trying. How many people after about a year or two after that go, man, I'm so glad that happened and that I pushed through? I don't think
Totally.
anybody, unless you're still currently in it because you're avoiding the hard thing, I don't think anybody ever regrets it.
Right. Right. And I think that's what's lost on a lot of people is the hard stuff is what really makes us who we are when we overcome those hard challenges and those hard things. And I think that there's a trick to applying that to your daily life where if you put hard things in your life all the time, you know, I can remember some of the hardest things that I've had to overcome in my life have made me the man that I am and made me better for it, you know, because it was so hard to get through. And so the challenges of, you know, becoming a husband and being a good husband, it was hard. It was a difficult thing to do when you go from being a single guy doing whatever you want, right? And then when it became time to be a dad, like that's hard to learn to do. And those things and then challenges of life and marriage and all that kind of stuff, when you go through those, it makes you a better person. And so creating a way to have hard stuff in your life every day, I think is a huge tool that you can use to be better, because I don't think that enough of us challenge ourselves every single day to really do the hard things, to come out on the other side to make ourselves better, to your point.
So what do you think now? Because we're not kind of, I mean, we're really all the way on the other end of the spectrum to where it almost, it's disguised sometimes as trying to eliminate draconian type of culture or, why do it so hard when we have chat GPT or AI
Yeah,
can write for you or AI can do anything for you. I
sure.
personally may apply outside of just even just subtitles. Subtitles are the only thing I use AI for in my video editing in order to generate the subtitles. But I like doing things analog and manual. And
Sure.
even what we do here in editing, it's an art form that's lost because it's in your mind and creative, and no two people can create the same thing. And I have a feeling by submitting and completely submitting to the easy on demand or AI stuff or anything like that, that now people are all going to be the same, which makes me
Sure.
very sad because everybody has something different to offer the world. And they
Yeah.
just, if they get lumped in and just pick up Siri and ask Siri, it's like, how are you really doing anything? No, I Google when I get stuck, I Google something and learn and do
Sure.
that. It's much easier than it was when we were young to go to the library to write term papers. There wasn't even
Yeah.
computers in school when I was in college. That's how old
Sure.
I am. So that could be a generational thing. Is that something you see? Like, you have three daughters. Do you see them or the kids they play with or anything like that that are completely different than when you were a kid, not doing the hard stuff?
Yeah, the ease and part of, especially with my kids, like part of it's my fault too, is like I've made life easier. And as a parent, you want to make your life easier on kids, but I've made it too easy sometimes, and I can see that it transfers into other challenges that come up. They just give up. They just don't want to try, and I see this with so many kids that are on the block that come over and they just don't try because life is easy and they've gotten comfortable with everything's on demand, and so with the it's funny, the and my wife and I are guilty of this, is in the past we would be like, well, we'll just order some food or we'll just get something. When we lived in the suburbs, it was so easy to just, you know DoorDash or whatever. We just go out and grab food or something like that. And so the kids, my oldest, sometimes will say, oh, well, let's just order something. It's just that easy,
That's all where the money comes from, right?
Yeah, it's just funny, but and you don't want to take the time to prep the food and whatever and stuff. And that is a level of a hard thing to do. And in the world that we live in, we've gotten to this on demand lifestyle to where everybody can just DoorDash or everybody can do this because it's easier to press a button on my phone and place an order for something and wait for the food to come than to sit down and prep a meal. Right. And in the reality of life, prepping a meal is not that hard. It's not like physically that difficult to do, but we choose the easier route, the more convenient route, because it's easier. And I think that's where this conversation of doing hard things becomes super, super important for everybody, because I think you get to a point where if you don't do hard things every day to make yourself better, you are going to create hard things every day to keep your life lame or
Self sabotage, right?
yeah, yeah. Like you've seen the meme where people put out a graphic of eating healthy's hard, being overweight's hard, being divorced is hard, being married is hard, and then the end is choose your hard. Which one do you want? It's all hard. And that's the thing that I think the mentality that people just have lost sight of is, well, we've got this easy, press a button, I can do this. And when it comes to fitness too, like we've talked about this before, where fitness becomes an easy thing. I don't want to do it because it's hard. I will give me the easier route. And in the fitness industry, everybody's looking for that quick fix. Everybody's looking for that easy thing. But the reality is, if you do something hard and then you push yourself that day from a fitness, you do a hard workout, I guarantee you the rest of your day is going to be great. Guarantee you're going to be you might have shitty things happen to you, but you're going to be in a better headspace because of the hard thing you did and you overcame that hard thing. And I think, I guess kind of the message of this conversation is try to implement hard things daily into your routine to challenge you. From a fitness perspective specifically, it's going to help you be a better human every single day because you're overcoming hard things. And hopefully the hard things that you're doing now make you better to then tackle more hard things and then be more self-reliant and be more versatile or more resilient, whatever the word is you want to use, to then handle whatever life throws at you in the future. Like for example, and I know I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but like with your infection, that was a hard thing for you to overcome.
Mm.
And if you but so let's look back at the last 30 years of your professional wrestling career. How many hard things did you have to overcome in that time? How many different things did you have to do to overcome, to prepare yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, all these things for when this infection came? Had you not gone through the last 30 years of all the stuff to make you mentally tougher, just think about how hard that infection would have been. It was already hard on you, like you shared with me how hard it was on you, and it's still hard. I need to think about it, but think about how much harder it would have been had you not tested yourself all these years to be a tougher man and to be able to handle that kind of stuff. Like it's just, I don't think people realize how important doing hard things consistently is.
There's a lot to that. And when I think back, you know, when I was in my early 20s, when I started wrestling at 19, and then in my early 20s, I went through just trying to find where to live, what to do. I was out of my parents' house. I was just skipping around as I was in ECW doing my stuff. But I knew, as much as it sucked at the time to have, like, be homeless part of the time and then sleeping on couches, or even, renting a room with a bunch of guys, which was like the highlight of it, because at least I'm not in my car and I'm not on a couch. The thing I knew, at least I hoped I knew, that what I'm doing here is a lot better. And this is the way I did it. Being a Philly kid, grew up in Port Richmond, right near where the Rocky films were made and all that stuff. So you can get a picture of what the neighborhood kind of looked like and how it was getting rougher and rougher. I was like, I just got to get out of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Wrestling was a way to get out of the neighborhood. As hard as it was, as hard as it was to pay my dues, to get injured, to not have a clue, to learn everything the hard way, years and years into it too. It was much harder and much more, how can I say, of an impossible thing. You think wrestling or being a wrestler or succeeding at wrestling is impossible. But to me, what was more of an impossible choice was staying in the neighborhood I grew up in, getting a
Mhm.
regular job in the neighborhood where I grew up in, never leaving the neighborhood I grew up in. And then potentially, because it happened to everybody, you're 30, 40 years old, still hanging on the corner, drinking, going to the same
Mhm.
bar. You've never grown. So that there's no hard things anymore. You're just coasting now. The hard thing now is I got to get up. And there's nothing wrong with this, because the hardest thing ever, I'll just say that as a side note, the hardest thing ever, and seeing my wife work an awesome office job, it's not awesome, an office job, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and not being creatively, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually fulfilled,
Mhm.
much like people who stay in the neighborhood. I know I'm on a tangent too, but it was just got to get out of the neighborhood. I'll see what the wrestling holds, but if it just gets me one step out of the neighborhood to try to make something of myself, then it's not as hard as staying. That's the
Sure.
way people should look at it. At a young age, it's terrifying because you're comfortable being around your parents, your family, your friends. You can walk everywhere. You don't have to leave the neighborhood because there's stores, there's a gym, there's all that stuff. But there's a whole big world out there. I don't know what it's like. Let me
Yeah.
find out.
Right.
So I
Right.
don't know if that makes sense or not, but most people, their main goal is to just leave the house and leave the neighborhood and try to see how they can make a name for themselves.
Sure. Sure. It makes total sense because doing the hard things, like you did the hard things to get yourself out of that environment, but it would have been really hard had you stayed in it, like maybe there's aspects of it that would have been not as hard because there's no real big decisions. There's nothing big. There's no big stakes or anything like that. But the mental toll is what would have been hard. Like you're looking back at your life and you're like, man, I just spent the last 20 years not doing anything. I haven't accomplished anything. And I look at that and you're like, that's really hard, and I look back at my life and the times where I didn't make the hard choice and could push through that hard thing are the things that I look back on now and it's like, man, I should have just pushed a little bit harder. I should have just worked a little bit harder because now I feel like, and obviously you don't know because whatever happened. I feel like now it is 10 times harder mentally for me to look back on the things that I did in the past. I mean, you sent me that passage this morning from your devotional, like looking at the past things and giving yourself the grace and whatever to let that go. That is hard for me because I didn't do the hard stuff back then, and so now if something comes up and it seems like it's going to be hard, I do it. because it's a push through it, because I know that even though it's hard now and even though it's going to suck now, it's going to be better on the other side. And I'm going to be a better man for it on the other side. I'm going to be stronger on the other side. And I think if we can convey one thing to anybody that's listening to this right now, if you got something on your plate that's hard, push through it, because you're going to be tougher. You're going to be better. You're going to come out better on the other side. You're going to learn. You're going to grow. You're going to be a better human when you push through that hard thing. If you choose the easy route, it's going to be hard later, and it's hard in a way that you don't want it to be hard. And I'm speaking firsthand that that's the truth, because there's a level of hard that comes with not chasing things and not going after things you just don't want to deal with.
Well, it's one word, because this one word will be the hardest thing for you to overcome, if you can ever overcome it. Some people never can, and you're trying to work towards that, but you need that closure on the other end of it now to right
Sure.
the wrong. The word is regret.
Sure.
Regret will be the hard thing that you're never going to be able to outdo or outperform. If you're carrying regret, you gotta right the wrong. There's no other way around it. I mean, I tell you all the time, you got to do it. You got to do it. You got to go do it. And sooner rather than later, and at least get that, even if you don't get hired or you don't get brought back or anything like that, you knowing that I made it right this time. And maybe my age, maybe I'm at an age where they won't, or they're just not looking at guys my age. But that's a parameter you can't control, but you can control your performance. And if they give you feedback saying, you're ready and we'd love to do it, but your age gets in the way, no harm, no foul. Sucks. Stupid. Most wrestlers in their 40s are hitting behind, but that's a thing that, because you didn't do the hard thing and then prepare for the hard thing of the tryout, you could pay a price for the rest of your life. Hopefully a small one, because you'll write it, but the what if is also the worst thing you can have in your mind. Like if you're in the neighborhood for 20 years, you haven't done anything, you're going to be what if in every day when you wake up. What if I did this? What if I did that?
Yeah.
Now, don't ever have a what if. Just do it, man. And here's the thing too. If you try to do the hard thing and you suck at it, just like I said, the 18 minutes a day, if you try the hard thing and you suck at it, guess what? You might be the only one that tried. Whoever's watching you will say, at least that person tried. We'll take him or her.
Yeah. 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 No, that's true. That's true. The trying and failing part of it, of doing hard things, you learn so much in that. And if you don't try the hard thing because it's hard, you're not going to teach anything. You're not going to grow. You grow in failure. Like we all grow in failure. We have to fail. I read a quote the other day that you can't have success without failure, because if you never failed in your whole life, you wouldn't know what success is, because that would just be normal. Right. And so failure is huge, and trying
bad days too. You won't know the good days without the bad ones. Yeah.
Right. Right. And so like doing the hard things, and I think it's the hard things. I think what it comes down to is it helps you learn, makes you tougher, helps you figure out what it is that you really want. Because if you do a hard thing, you're going to know that, hey, I did it, I accomplished it, but I don't know if I want that, but I can do it, And then I also think it's a level of confidence that comes with doing hard things. And this is something that I'm trying to instill in my kids, is push through that hard thing. Don't just give up, because when you do that hard thing, when you accomplish it, you're going to be so much stronger and have so much belief in yourself afterwards. I'll share a quick story with my oldest daughter and doing a cartwheel. It just didn't come naturally to her at first, but she kept trying. And once she finally got the cartwheel, it was awesome. As a dad, it was very awesome to see her finally get the cartwheel and build that confidence. And then the other day we have a pool. And what was cool for me is with the cartwheel, she was very hesitant to learn to do a cartwheel and all this kind of stuff. But we have a pool, and the friends on the block were over, and they were doing a flip into the pool. And so my oldest, little hesitant at first, but she did it. She tried it. And the joy in her face afterwards, and the joy in my heart as a father was awesome. But it was because she did that hard thing. And I don't believe that if she wouldn't have overcome the cartwheel and been able to do the cartwheel, I don't think she would have ever done the flip. Even with the friend pressure that was there, I don't think she would have done it. But because she overcame the hard thing and the cartwheel, she then had the confidence in herself. It was like when teaching my kids to ride bikes. That was a thing too. It was giving them the confidence to overcome it. My second daughter, she fell on her bike, wiped out, and was scared to death of riding a bike. But then once she got it, oh man, it was that little hard thing. And now she rides her bike all the time. And so that translates into life. And I think we lose that the older we get, because we get so in this mindset of, oh, it's just got to be easy, got to be easy. And so then we don't do the things that we need to do to have that sense of accomplishment, to give us the confidence, because life is so easy. So I think for everybody listening, and I'm preaching to myself just as much as I'm preaching to you, is the more you can focus on the hard things in life, the more confidence you're going to have in what you do. I second guess myself a lot about, am I good enough for this? Am I good enough for that? And then I do this hard thing and I accomplish it and it's received well and it feel good about it. And then I'm like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I am pretty good at that. And I can do more of that. And then I get more confidence in my ability. And I think that's something that everybody can do. Try little hard things. And, to give kind of some direction for this. I don't want to just blanketly say, go do hard things. Well, what does that mean? Right? Like, give somebody some direction here. I think it's starting with little things. Instead of ordering your food on DoorDash, cook food. Or if you don't want to cook food, instead of ordering it on DoorDash, maybe drive to the restaurant and go do it. That's a little bit harder. That's a silly thing to do. But then from a fitness perspective, because this is a fitness show, push yourself to do that workout. When you don't feel like doing the workout that day, push yourself to do a little bit, push yourself to go do 5 minutes, push yourself to do this. Or when maybe your workouts are stagnant and you're not seeing any progress, try something different that you thought was really hard. Go take a class, get with a trainer, try something new to do that hard thing. Try the different things to challenge yourself every day, but start small and build the confidence so that you can do more. I think that's the most important thing when doing hard things is don't jump to climbing Mount Everest when you are just starting your fitness journey. Like, you got to get your fitness journey going a little bit, and then maybe down the road we can climb Mount Everest.
I've been making my life hard and doing the hard thing by having an underpowered Mac and trying to run, all the applications with minimum Mac.
Fair point.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing for my hard thing.
That's the truth. You have been.
For the kids, though, I think if you can, your kids seem like smart kids. They listen to you. I could tell they adore you and love you and hang on every word that you say. I can see that just from the short times when they come in the background. If there's a way to convince a young person or any person in general that doing the hard stuff now will actually make your life easier later on.
Yeah.
If it seems easier, that's fine, because you're kind of tricking them, because there's always challenges. But if you try to get them to front load their stress and overcome it, the rest of their life will probably feel like they're coasting, but they're constantly like overcoming it, because it doesn't seem like it's this high. It just seems like it's right here to step over.
Yeah, no, that's spot on, dude. And it's funny you bring that up. I was talking about that last night on a call that I did, where I was talking about, building foundational health and for the long term and things like that. And the confidence that you can build by doing hard things will carry through the rest of your life. If you
people notice, you'll get jobs, you'll get opportunities, you'll get partnerships. People like confidence, and like that I didn't mean to cut you off, but they like to know that you can be like, yeah, I can do that. Even if you can't, you just display the confidence, then go Google it and figure it out.
Yeah. Well, it translates to every area of your life. I mean, if you can be confident in every aspect of what you do, you're going to have more success, because you come at things with the confidence, or at least you're going to try. And if you fail, you fail, but you're going to still feel like you're going to walk away with that confidence, knowing that you're trying. And I think doing hard things is the key to developing that for yourself. You know, maybe you had a childhood where you weren't challenged. Maybe your parents sheltered you. Maybe you didn't have much to overcome in life. But I think you can start now. And I think all of us can start now with focusing on hard things. You know, in the fitness space, one of the things people talk about doing hard things is, you know, the hot topic of doing cold plunges. That's hard to do. A cold plunge is a hard thing to do, but it brings a lot of benefits because it's so hard.
Mhm.
It's a very simple thing to do. You're getting in cold water, right? Like it's really cold, but it's very simple to do, but it's the mental challenge of the toughness that comes with it. And you know, when I started doing, I don't do a cold plunge because I don't have a big tub to do a cold plunge in, but taking cold showers, that's what I do. And the first one, oh man, I was like, this is going to suck. I don't want to do this. But then I turned the cold water on and I sat there for 15 seconds and I was like, oh, well, that wasn't so bad. And then the next day I did like 30 seconds. And then the next day I did a minute. And now I do 5-minute cold showers like it's nothing. It's no big deal. It doesn't bother me at all. But it was overcoming that hard thing, which then built me to the confidence of, oh, I can do this next hard thing, or I can do this next hard thing. And it's little things, stacking the habits, stacking the hard things, and continuing to grow, that really can set you up for success. And what I think is important, and this is what I said last night on the call, we were talking about protein and muscle quality and how important protein is for long-term health and wellness and all that kind of stuff. But what really resonated with people was, there was like 25 people on the call that I was talking to and educating and stuff. And what resonated with them, I think, was the fact that I talked about hitting your protein goals now sets you up for when you're 60, 70, 80 years old, and focusing on doing everything that you can now to have a better quality of life later in life is important. And I think the hard things that you can do now to overcome the hard things when you're, you know, in your 30s, 40s, 50s, when things are not as incredibly hard yet, you know, because you're still physically capable to overcome hard physical things. When it comes to the fitness journey, if you're overweight, if you're out of shape, get on a fitness journey, because if you do that now, you're going to set yourself up for 10, 20 years down the road to be healthier, to be in better shape, to be a better functioning human being, so that when life does get really hard, because your body's starting to give out, you're giving yourself a better head start. And I use this visual, and for those of you watching on YouTube, if your fitness level is here, and as you get older, your fitness level is going to start to dip big time, right? And it's just life. That's just the facts of life. It's gonna start to dip, no matter who you are. It's going to happen. And the older you get, depending on how fit you are, and depending on the fitness level that you have, it's going to make it so that your the rate at which you're dipping. But if you
I don't know how
and you're
you'll come back to baseline by the time you're 70. I'm sorry.
exactly, no, that's it. I mean, that's the punchline right there. If you start here and then you dip, you're going to be at the level that you were here. You know what I mean? And then it's just
40 years
making,
later instead of now, you know?
yeah. Yeah. And I think doing the hard things now by starting that fitness journey, overcoming hard things is really the key. I mean, I don't know what else there is to really totally say about this topic of doing hard things, but I think it just does so much to set yourself up for the next 10, 20 years of your life by doing the hard things now, to give yourself the confidence to be in better shape and to be healthier all the time.
That's a great way to end it. Yeah, that's a good way, because on the fitness note, it'll translate in everything, and
Mm-hmm.
we appreciate it. I was looking at the reviews on iTunes. We need some more reviews on iTunes. The Big Fitness Show. Check it out. We got quite a few. We got 9 ratings. Very happy about that. Also on Spotify, we'll put up the poll and ask people,
Yeah.
what is your hard thing to do? We'll see if we can fill something else in, but look for that poll there, and let Big Mike, the official Big Fitness Show mascot, I will have you do it. If we have a small fitness show,
Somebody's got to carry the weight here.
That's right. Hey, all the charisma in the world. He's got the rowing challenge. Mike is starting to put up. I'll promote your channel if you want. Mike Behrens' YouTube channel. Mike is putting up. He looks exactly the same. He wants to found the Fountain Youth, but these videos are from quite a while ago. You're doing a rowing challenge in one, and you're also doing some informational, educational stuff in another that you put up this week. So please subscribe to this channel, check it out. And you are, if you don't think he deserves to be on the Big Fitness Show, look at him towering over all these CrossFit people in the gym. It looks like you're in a Wizard of Oz remake.
Oh shoot. Yeah, I definitely do carry the moniker of the big, that's for sure. So I'll take it. But yeah, hey, thanks everybody for joining us this week on the Big Fitness Show. We've got some big things coming with the Big Fitness Show. We're not talking about it. We're going to be launching a Big Fitness Show channel that is just for the episode and move it off of Stevie's channel. So definitely stay subscribed to Stevie's channel, but we're going to launch the Big Fitness Show so we can do more content to try to bring some more value to you guys, put some clips and things like that up all in one location so that you can find us. We're working on thebigfitnessshow.com so that we have a place to just try to support and bring as much value as we possibly can, because that is the whole goal here with the Big Fitness Show, is to just bring value into the world and help people live healthier every single day. We're just two pro wrestlers that want to share our experience to help people live healthier. I mean, that's the goal here. So thanks for tuning in this week. As always, like, comment, subscribe, share.
Thing you called me a wrestler, former, retired.
Oh, well, okay. One former pro wrestler, one current pro wrestler.
Didn't make the cut. They threw me to the top.
We're two wrestlers. One's former, one's current, trying to help.
Tried to shoot me out in the pasture.
Yeah.
I thought,
hey, man, I'm telling you, you're not a former. You got that big comeback coming. $9 million is coming back.
Well, you know that. Hey, cat food's expensive now.
Hey, any promoters out there, if you want to book Stevie Richards, $9 million is the price tag. Bring him in. He'll do it. For $9 million, he'll do it. Okay.
I'm not going to do the apartment wrestling baby oil deal that I've heard some indie guys over the years.
I don't know, for $9 million.
Not doing any battling bodies or anything like that. Sorry.
Oh, shoot. All right. Well, hey, everybody. Thanks. Appreciate you. Leave a review, comment. Let us know about questions. If you have any questions, we would love to answer some questions. Always appreciate the feedback on the show. And yeah, for me and for Schmedium, Stevie Cool, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.